What's up, dudes? It's your buddy 5 Bar Doom, and I just wanted to come to you today with a little discussion topic to fire up the chat a little bit and get your thoughts on it. So Bob posted this comment, and I thought it was a really good one. It was an interesting question. So he basically says, "What's your go-to strategy for what happens when your team is in the wrong?" His example is like your goalie bangs the ball really hard unintentionally, and you cause the opposing team to lose possession. Do you always call the infraction yourself? Do you wait for the other team to call it? Do you just always argue if there's not a ref there? Do you try to gain consensus from the other players and any witnesses? And Bob says he tries to be as fair as possible and call anything that he sees his team do. So he's curious what other people do. And I thought this was a really interesting topic to discuss. So I guess what I want to do in this video is kind of give my take on it. And, I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. So from my perspective, like Bob, I want to be as fair as I can. I think, there's certain things where I will always, if I see it happen, I will always tell the other team. For example, you forget to count a point. And if I notice you forget to count a point, I'm going to tell you about it. To me, that's just like the dumbest thing in the world. If we're playing a game and like the score is wrong and it would benefit you to not tell the other team. And I know for sure there's other people that feel the other way. And even in, I remember at Texas State, a buddy of mine was playing in some match, some pro match in Texas State, and the other team didn't count a point, and he knew about it. He didn't tell him, and he just kind of took advantage of the situation. Not my favorite way to handle that personally. So if it's the score is wrong and it would impact the other team positively, or they forget to count a game or whatever the case might be, I would always tell the other team that for sure. I think also if there's a super egregious thing where I know it's illegal, for example, I just jar the table, super duper hard when you pass and it's clear, super clear it's a jar. I'm going to just be like, okay, here you go. Here's the ball. You know what I mean? To me, it actually doesn't come up very often with me personally because I just don't find myself in that situation very often. But, it has come up. Most of the time where that might come up would be in singles where I have to reach back and grab a goalie rod and just pull it as basically as hard as I can to the wall to try to catch it. And then the other team would catch it on the 3-bar and it bounces off. In those situations, then I'll basically just immediately here you go. You know what I mean? The ones where it gets a little fuzzier to me are, I think jars are just a really tough one for me in general. So and any given tournament night, if I go play I'll go play the bring and the draw up here, over the course of the night, there's probably 3, 4, 5 times every week where I'm basically that person, you could argue that this was somebody jarred me, or you know what I mean? To me with the jars, I think it's too many people are a baby about the jars. I think 99% of the time, if someone jars you, or potentially jars you, and you had done everything correctly on your end of it and caught the ball perfectly, that jar is not going to jar the ball off your man. That's just how I personally feel about it. The table's super heavy. If you get jarred, it doesn't move the table that much. It's just it's, to me, these jars don't affect the play that much. You know what I mean? If it's you were borderline going to catch the ball, and there's a pretty hard jar, maybe that could affect it. But I don't know, man. To me, the whole crying about jars is such a baby thing. I hate it. I basically never call jars on people, very, very infrequently. And for that reason, if I'm in a situation where there's a very borderline jar, I'm basically not going to say anything about it either, on my end of it. That's just how I feel about it, because I feel people are way too call jars way too loosely. Here's basically how a lot of people call a jar. They're like, they go for a pass, they drop it, and there's any contact on any wall, they're like, it's a jar. I'm like, I don't agree with that. You know what I mean? That's just not how I feel about it. You know, you can touch the side of the table a little bit. It's not necessarily a jar. And if there's no ref there, there's no ref there. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about it. So, too bad. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at with it. Trying to think if there's anything else where it would be like questionable call. You know, I don't know if it's like the other teams. If I know if it's one team, it's like it's our drop, or it's like it's the other team's drop and they hand me the ball and I know it's their drop, I'll give them the ball. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. I'm just gonna 100% gonna be like, here it is. You know what I mean? To me, like jars is the one where it's just, you know, it's just never super clear cut when people are calling jars. People call jars way too light all the time and blame, I mean, in my opinion, people just blame their subpar 3-bar, you know, catching and, you know, and just passing skills in general. They like to blame it on jars. You know what I mean? So I'm not super keen on just handing over any ball that you say is a jar. You know what I mean? Like there's no ref there. I think it's borderline. I'm for sure not going to like bring it up like, oh, I jarred you when I don't even know that I did. And then even if they bring it up and they're like, oh, you jarred me, I'm like, I don't know, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'll watch it. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I feel about jars. Just because so many people are fucking babies about jars. But in general, most of the other rules, I think that if I see it and I know that like, you know, something happens where it should go the other way and it would benefit the other team, I'm totally giving it to them. And I'll even bring it up if I'm the one that sees it. You know what I mean? So anyway, I guess that's how I feel about it. I am curious to see, to hear what you guys think in the comments. You know, I think there are people that will, you know, there are people at different levels of how they feel about this type of stuff. There are people that will, you know, actively cheat. I don't think there's that many foosball players that do that, but I definitely have seen it where people are just cheater. You know what I mean? Is that you? Post in the comments. I'm sure you won't. Then there's other people who just like, you know, they're always calling jars when it's like borderline jar. You know, they start losing and they start calling stuff. I'm sure you guys have seen people like that where it's like early in the match, nothing's ever getting called. This other team starts going down in points, start losing the match. Then all of a sudden, oh, all these calls start happening. That's weird. You know what I mean? There's a lot of that, I think. So yeah. Anyway, that's today's video. What do you think? Are you, you know, when your team does something, do you immediately call it out? Do you, you know, do you wait till they call it and then kind of debate, or are you pretty willing to give the ball over if something happens? Curious to hear what your take is on it. But that's today's video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh yeah, tomorrow I'm playing a big tournament at Mike Wyrowski's house. They're having a singles tournament and a doubles tournament. I'm planning on playing with Sean Chenard. Get a little warm up in for Wisconsin State there. And so yeah, so I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna stream because I don't have Wi-Fi out there, but I will be recording the matches and I will cast some of those matches. So anyway, that's it for me today. Thanks for watching. 5-Bar Doom is out, and I'll see you guys in the next video.